Hey guys, welcome to another weekly reading vlog. So it is Tuesday today and I have just finished about an hour ago, I believe, The Girl in the Tower by Katherine Arden. I was reading this last week and I was slumping a bit. I'm feeling less slumpy now, although it could have just been this book that was an exception. I could start slumping again very soon. I'm not too sure about that. But this one was on my Bookopoly TBR for the challenge Instagram recommends, I believe. This book was also gifted to me by the lovely Linda, so thank you so much, Linda, for sending this my way because I absolutely loved it. So The Girl in the Tower is the sequel to The Bear and the Nightingale. They are the first two books in the Winter Night trilogy, which is an adult historical fantasy series that is heavily inspired by Russian folklore. So I won't tell you too much about the plot of this, but in The Bear and the Nightingale we follow Vasilisa. It is a coming of age fantasy. It follows her life as she's growing up in this northern town in Russia. Vasilisa is sighted, which means that she can see all of the household spirits and all of the spirits in the woods, and these spirits are given tribute by the townspeople, and in exchange for those tributes they offer protection. So for the majority of the first book you do follow Vasilisa as she's growing up. She's learning about being sighted, I guess, and there are also a lot of historical political influences in that story as well. However, everything does start to change very quickly in the first book when Vasilisa's father marries a very devout woman who brings a priest into the household with her, who starts to convert the townspeople to Christianity, which means that the people stop giving tribute to the spirit, leaving the town weakened against malevolent influences. So I absolutely loved the first book. I was shocked when I worked out my rating for this. I actually gave the first book 4 stars because I really did adore it. I gave The Girl in the Tower 5 stars. We do still follow Vasilisa in this book, although we are in a different setting. She does head to Moscow disguised as a boy, so there are a lot more political influences in this book, but there is still plenty of the magical spirits and all of that stuff going on in here as well. So I absolutely love Katherine Arden's writing. She has a very beautiful, very lush writing style, and one of my favorite things about these books is that they are incredibly lush. They are incredibly atmospheric, and even though this is a very wintry setting, this series does mainly focus around winter because one of the key players in this story is the god of death, who is also known as the Winter King. I had no problem being drawn into this world despite the fact that it's actually quite warm for once in the UK. I really love the character of Vasilisa. I feel quite connected to her. She is a very frustrating protagonist to follow in a lot of ways because she is incredibly impulsive, and a lot of the things that she does throughout this series are entirely her own fault. She is a Gryffindor through and through. She does what she thinks is right even though she is not particularly educated or what she is actually doing, so she does mess up quite often. She makes some very bad decisions, but I think because the first book is a coming of age story and you follow her through the first 16-18 years of her life, you do feel incredibly close to her. Like, I do really love Vasya, but she does make a lot of bad decisions and it can be quite frustrating to read. You guys know, if you read this series, you guys will know of course that I love Morozko. I love the Winter King. There is a romantic element to this series that I 100% did not expect when I went into The Bear and the Nightingale, but I really love it. I really like the vibes in that relationship as well. This really untangible love that can never truly be real. I just really love those melodramatic and also really whimsical vibes. The plot in this, I would say, was probably the weakest point. There were a few moments where I kind of wondered, like, why does this have to play out like this? Like, this does not have to be the way. But overall, this is a very strong book. Love the atmosphere, love the characters, 5 stars. Cannot wait to read The Winter of the Witch. But my thing with this series is that it's incredibly comforting to read. That is what I love about coming of age fantasies. The world doesn't have to be pleasant. There is a brief instance of sexual assault in here, and another coming of age fantasy I've read recently is Assassin's Apprentice, which is a pretty grim story, but it's just being in a fantasy world, and both Assassin's Apprentice and the Winter Night trilogy have a very soft magic system, so the magic isn't always present and there are a lot of overarching political themes, but something just about following a character in a fantasy or historical world is, it really draws me to them, and I find it a really comforting environment to be in. So I am very much anticipating reading The Winter of the Witch. I do own it because Linda also gifted that to me because she's amazing, but I will be sad when this series is over, and Katherine Arden does have a middle grade series. I don't believe it's very highly rated. I know a lot of people don't really love it, so I probably won't be picking that up, and I don't think that she has a new adult series announced, so I will be very sad to leave this series, this world, and these characters behind, but I really want to finish this trilogy as well. So now that I finished The Girl in the Tower, I will be reading a book from my Believathon TBR. The Believathon is a 2-week-long readathon that is hosted by my friend Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin, and it focuses on reading children's and middle grade books. So I'm currently dipping between Bookopoly and Believathon because I've been slumping hard, and I do have a few books that I really need to read before the end of the month that are not children's literature, so I am dipping between my 2 TBRs. So my next read is going to be Peter Pan by Jm Barrie. For the Believathon, this will fulfill the prompt for Baba Yaga's Hut, and that is to read a book that has familial relationships, I believe. And of course, you guys will be familiar with the story of Peter Pan. We follow Wendy, John and Michael Darling, although predominantly Wendy, as they go to Neverland with Peter Pan, who is the boy who never grows up. This is a children's classic. I do really like children's classic stories. I don't know why, because I don't read a whole ton of children's books and I don't read a whole ton of classics, but children's classics I do enjoy reading. So I will be starting this one later today, and this was also a gift from Bev, so thank you so much, Bev, for this. I'm collecting classics predominantly in the Penguin English Library paperbacks because I think they're absolutely stunning. I love them, and I do hope to eventually one day make my way through probably not all of the classics and probably not all of the Penguin English Library collection, because that's a lot of classic literature, but I do hope to one day have made my way through a substantial amount of them. So that is about it for my reading updates at the moment. I have just finished proofing last week's vlog, just have to do a little couple of bits on the uploading side of that, and then that is good to go. After that, I will be designing candle labels for the next launch, which will be on the 8th of June, if not before. I need to have a little conversation with somebody about that because it is in collaboration with a book community event. So I'll see when that's being released, but I need to make the labels for the candle range, and tomorrow I will have to take photos of them before I send them away to somebody so that I can sort out my website at some point. Updates on my candle website being closed. I'm currently down to just over 20 orders. When I finish making candle labels, I'm going to go make a new batch of candles. The jars from last week that I was missing did arrive. I ended up ordering a new box and they arrived, and then I finally got in touch with the company, and this morning the ones that had gone missing have arrived. So I have all the jars I need. Some fragrance oil I was missing arrived today, and I think I have enough wax, so today I'm going to get through as many candles as possible making them. Tomorrow I need to do some YouTube stuff, but then hopefully I'll be able to spend my evening packaging orders, and if everything goes well, by the end of the week I should have cleared through all of my outstanding orders. Now that is the goal. It may leak a little bit into the beginning of next week depending on how long it takes me to do various things outside of candles, but everything is looking extremely positive on that front. Thank you so much to you guys for your patience if you have an order outstanding and it's taking me a little bit of a while to get to it. Hopefully by the time you guys see this vlog I will have either already reopened or at least everything outstanding will have gone. So I'm gonna go and get on and sort out all the stuff I need to do on my computer so I can get on with making candles, and I will check in with you guys when I have something interesting to say.
My sophomore year, I had my broken heart. You were my biggest fear, and then you watched me run out of all the right things to say, still finding reasons to stay with you. Gave you a call because I needed a ride, and never thought I'd be with you in your passenger side. And now we're driving downtown. Baby, you make me feel young, like I just turned 21, yeah. I don't mind if you stay on my side and never let go. I don't mind if you stay all the time, I'll never let go. While we're up in my room, I'm laughing. Your feet are too small when you try on my shoes, and then search my face now.
Okay, so it's been a few days. I've been quite busy over the last couple of days just getting work done. I have literally just been blasting through my to-do list today to be able to take tomorrow off because it is currently around 11:35 p.m. and the Raedathon starts at midnight. Now, the Raedathon is a 24-hour readathon that is hosted by Jade from January Reads, and last time I kind of participated. I went about my daily life as usual but prioritized reading, but in a group chat at some point, I think it could have been the Drunk Live show, myself, Ashley and Jade said that we were going to be staying up for the entire 24 hours to do the Raedathon this time. Jade stayed up for 24 hours last time. So today I've made a whole bunch of candles. I filmed my video for Sunday and I also did a workout. So Saturday will be my active recovery day for workout, so I won't need to work out tomorrow. I may need to make just a couple of candles because my microwave was being funny, so I did have to stop. I think I have like one more candle to make. It was really annoying and I need to edit that video, but aside from that, I am all clear for today or tomorrow. I need to start saying today so that I can participate in the Raedathon. But before we get into my Raedathon plans, I did finish Peter Pan last night, which is why I wanted to update you earlier in the day. But as soon as I finished filming, I made my dinner and then I played Fortnite with Ryan up until this point. So Peter Pan, I gave it 3 stars. There was a lot I enjoyed about this, but there were things that I didn't like. It was a little bit of a weird reading experience, to be honest. So the plot of this is exactly as I told you it was the other day. We have Wendy, John and Michael. There is something called the Neverland, which is essentially the place that children go to play make-believe in their minds, and that is where Peter Pan lives. Now, every girl, every child knows who Peter Pan is, but Peter Pan comes to Wendy Darling's house and she goes there to be Peter Pan and the Lost Boy's mother, because the one thing that they all have in common is that they are motherless. So the bits that I liked about this, I really liked the moral of the story, or not necessarily the moral, but the themes and the messages in here. I really liked the beginning section up until they went to Neverland, where they were talking about Peter Pan and Neverland and the Darlings, and I really liked the end after they came back, although I didn't, but I did, which I'll talk about in a minute. Now, the whole middle point where they were in Neverland, I wasn't too interested in. I didn't like the narration style of this. We have an omniscient narrator and he knows everything and he tells you that he knows everything, and I didn't really like the way that it was narrated, the way he says, oh, I could tell you this adventure or this adventure. The writing was a lot harder to follow in the Neverland portions. I had no issue with the beginning of this, no issue with the end, but I did find the middle bit to be jumbled. I don't know whether that is supposed to reflect the nature of a make-believe land. I did like some elements of what was going on in there. I do really like Peter as a character, even though he is a little shit. This book is definitely darker than the Disney version. Of course, Disneyfy everything. There's a reason that is a word or a saying. And I did enjoy the darkness in here, although it did take me by surprise in a few places. This was published in 1911. I actually thought it was published a little bit later than that, but this book is just, it's so sad, and I found the way that some things were dwelled upon and some things were glossed over was really interesting. Like, a character who the narrator says is his favorite character dies in the like epilogue of this book, and it's literally just one line like, oh, this character was doing this character's dead and has been forgotten about, and it was a little bit startling. There is also a main character in here, and just Peter, you know, Peter Pan, oh, my heart goes out to that boy. Like, I feel for him. Just his entire thing is sad. Like, this make-believe boy that isn't make-believe, he's real, but he just lives in this land and he never wants to grow up, and the way that people pass through his life and how transient he is, it's just, it's all a little bit heartbreaking. It's just, it's really sad. So yeah, I gave this 3 stars. The Elements Neverland I didn't really love, but I do love the messages in here. Very sad, bittersweet ending. When I got to the end of this book, I remember the reason why I haven't watched Peter Pan in years and why I don't particularly like it. There is a thing about books, stories, movies, whatever, that end like this that really upset me. It's the same with Narnia, how the children return to their normal lives after they've lived this life of adventure where they really fit in and life kind of goes on. It really makes me sad. I'm not sure what it is about that. I think we would need to do a little bit of self-therapy to find out what it is about that really upsets me, but it really makes my heart hurt. So I'm really glad that I read this, really love the themes in it, but the writing style and narration style style, especially throughout the center, were not really my favorite. So that is my second book done for Believathon. Sadly, it seems that this will be the last book that I do read for Believathon, but we will see how I go over the next 24 hours. The next book I'm going to be picking up is on my Bookopoly TBR, and that is King of Sword and Sky by C.L. Wilson. Just got my little Resand bookmark on here. This is the third book in the Tyrant Soul series. It's an adult high fantasy romance series that follows a fae king called Rain Tyrant Soul, who is looking for a way to cure these magical beasts called the Tyrant that are very closely linked to the fae people. Essentially, if the Tyrant die, then the fae race will die out, and for a very long time now the Tyrant have been becoming sickly. None of their kittens are surviving, and Rain really needs to find the solution to this problem. When he's looking for the solution, he finds a human girl called Elisetta Barastani, and he immediately recognizes that she is his true mate, which is very strange for multiple reasons. The first is that a Tyrant Soul, who is a fae that has been chosen to have a tyrant inside them so he can shapeshift into this big winged cat, has never had a true mate for as long as history has existed. And as well as that, Elisetta is mortal. However, you do quickly find out that everything with Elisetta is not as it seems, and she may not be mortal after all. So this one is the third book. I'm very excited to read this one because the first two books take place in a mortal city, and one of the things that I don't really like about this romance, aside from the fact that it is very insta-lovey on the part of Rain, is that it has a historical type of setting. It's high fantasy, it's in a completely made up place, but there is a lot of propriety and the characters have to court, and I don't really like that archaic social structure and things like that. So this book is going to be taking it to a new setting, a setting I have been very excited to find out more about, so I'm excited to get into this one. I think that because I'm doing the 24 hours, I may also read another book alongside this one. Let me just find it. It's the second part of the Charlie Travesty series by Jessie Elliott and KJ Sutton. Kelsey, who is the author KJ Sutton, has sent me an arc of the first two parts in this vampire serial. The first part is A Whisper in the Dark, which I read and gave 3 stars, mainly because it's just the beginning of the story. And the second part she has sent to me is A Light in the Dusk. Now, this story focuses on a girl who's a vampire princess in this city that used to be New York, but something happened in the history that has turned it into a city called New V, where vampires rule. Our main character, Charlie Travesty, is a vampire princess, and she is about to have her awakening, which is a thing that all vampires go through. They wake up in the morning or evening, as they are vampires, around their 23rd birthday, and their eyes have changed colour, and the colour of their eyes denotes what sector of the city they're going to live in. So I do have the second part here. As it is a 4-part serial, each part is only around 100 pages, and together all 4 parts will make up the size of like a standard novel. So I am very excited to get to that because I need to review it for you guys, and also because I gave the first part 3 stars just because it was just like the first 100 pages, but there was a character that was introduced that I am very intrigued about towards the end of the first part. It's like a paranormal romance series. We have 2 possible love interests at the moment. One I am much more interested in than the other, but they were introduced quite late on in the first section, so I'm hoping that they are going to be more present throughout the other 3 parts. So as that is 100 pages, I may start with that, knock out 100 pages, and then begin King of Sword and Sky, because this is about 450 pages, so I'm pretty much only going to read this over 24 hours. So maybe starting with something shorter would be better for my momentum. I don't know. So I do have one more thing to show you guys while I'm here. I'm hoping now, yeah, it does have tape on it. When it was my birthday 2 weeks ago, all of the gifts that Curtis had ordered for me were pre-orders, so nothing had arrived. This is the first thing to arrive. It arrived yesterday, but I wanted to open it here for you guys. I mean, there's nothing particularly special about the box that it's in, but I'm very excited. Ooh, there's some good bubble wrap in here that I can reuse. So the main gift that Curtis got me was the Goldsboro edition of Aurora Burning by J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. This one has orange sprayed edges. It also has my baby Cal on the front, who's one of my favorite characters, and it is, oh, it has a bookmark as well. It's also signed and numbered, so I think my copy of Aurora Burning, I have the Goldsboro edition of that as well, is like number 400 and something, and this one is number 597. So thank you so much, Curtis. I'm gonna go upstairs and change into something a little bit more comfortable, so I'll tell him thank you when I go up. But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys this because I love it so much. This was actually released on my birthday. Curtis bought me Aurora Rising, the Goldsboro edition, for my birthday last year, and as this was released on my birthday this year, I asked him to get hold of this for me, which he very kindly did. And yeah, it's gonna, oh, they're just just so beautiful. Like the illustration on here, I believe it's Charlie Boata, who is one of my favorite artists, so anything with Charlie Boata on, I'm down for. But yeah, everything about these books is just so stunning. I'm running out of time before midnight, but if you guys are unfamiliar with this, it is a space opera type sci-fi. It's very campy, it's young adult, and it follows Squad 312, who are a squad that are led by Tyler Jones. Tyler Jones was supposed to finish at the top of his class in like a space cadet academy. However, he was late to his graduation ceremony because he was rescuing a girl from a 200-year-old wreckage of a spaceship. Now, because of his lateness, he wasn't able to have first pick of all of the cadets from his graduating class, and instead he got all of the people who were left, who are actually very good at what they do, but none of them are very good at teamwork. So they head out on their first mission and find out that the girl that Tyler rescued is actually stowing away in their ship, and she has some strange abilities that have been manifesting very recently that they have to then get to the bottom of. I gave this 5 stars, really loved it. Big cliffhanger ending, super cheesy, really fast paced, but really fun, and I really like all of the characters in here. I did have an art copy, so I have already read this, but I needed a final copy to add to my collection because yeah, I just loved it. So I don't have long left, but I'm going to go and get the duvet and the pillows off the spare bed upstairs. I'm going to sort out the sofa downstairs and put all the throws over it nicely and make myself like a little cozy bed to read in. And I'm going to go change my top. I'm wearing like really comfortable fabric shorts, so I'll leave those, but I want like a looser t-shirt to wear because comfort is key when you're trying to stay awake all night reading. And I think I'm going to put ASMR rooms on because I don't know what it is about tonight, but I'm not feeling great about being awake all night on my own, and I don't really like the sounds, you know, when it's really quiet at night and you can hear things like your fridge and freezer humming and everything creaking and the pipes. I find it to be a really lonely feeling because everybody else is asleep apart from you. So I may put some ASMR rooms on, just a little bit of white noise to get rid of all of those sounds that make me feel awful, and I'm gonna snuggle down and read. I will be checking in with you regularly throughout this thing. I know that Jade is staying up for 24 hours and Ashley is going to try for 24 hours, and so is Gavin. My predictions now, I think the first person to go, if any of us go, will be Gavin. I think he will be the first one to drop off, literally and socially. So I don't know what we're doing to keep ourselves awake. I don't know if we're gonna have any vid calls or group calls or whatever. I'm down for whatever's going on though. I'm determined to do this since I spent all day powering through my to-do list. But yeah, I'm running out of time, so I'm gonna go and get myself cozy and I'll check in with you guys in a little while. Yo, so it is 2:49 a.m. This is really wild, guys. Like, I've been going to bed at like midnight, but actually going to sleep at about 3. I normally start reading about 12:30 and then read up until like 2:33, but I honestly feel like it's 6 a.m. I feel like I have been awake for days. I don't know whether reading an ebook is making it worse because I'm looking at a screen, so it's like dry in my eyes or straight in my eyes or whatever. But I finished my first read. Jade has a live show on Instagram, I believe, with Gav doing a reading, I assume they're doing, at 3 a.m. So that will be my next thing that I'm doing. Just trying to find my book. I literally just had it. So Light in the Dusk by Jessie Elliott and KJ Sutton. I haven't put it into my spreadsheet yet. I've literally just finished it, but I'm going to get up when I've done with this update, go put it into my spreadsheet, and then when Jade's live starts, I'm gonna go make myself some cinnamon porridge, and I'm assuming that they're gonna do like a little chat before they start reading sprints, so I'll eat while I'm watching those two. Thinking that A Light in the Dusk is going to be 4 stars. Definitely not a 5, but definitely higher than the 3 that I gave the first book. We've had a mystery element added to the plot that I'm into. I mean, it's not my favorite thing that's going on, but I'm enjoying that added element. I also got a lot more of the character that was introduced at the end of the first part that I really like. He's like an arrogant asshole and has great banter. Not great banter, he's just fucking rude, to be fair. But you know, I have my flaws, guys. I like that shit. And there was like a whole ton of romance in this one. There was a little bit of smut, and the ending was quite dramatic, so I'm really excited for part 3 of that. See if I can find out what it's called actually, because I believe it's out in a couple of days. Let's see, where's Kelsey? Here she is. A Memory in the Flame is the 3rd part of that, so I will be getting my hands on that pretty soon so that I can continue. But for now, I should probably get up and take you through to the reading room, shouldn't I? So I still haven't started King of Sword and Sky. Is that what that one's called? I was thinking that I may actually continue with my Believathon TBR and read The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum, which is the first third of this book. It's only just over 100 pages. I'll see how much it actually is actually. Whoa, too many actuallys in that sentence. Okay, so The Wonderful Wizard of Oz is about 180 pages, which should take me until like daylight if I start that now. I'm gonna get myself ready. I'm gonna make some food. I'm going to watch Jade's Instagram live and I'll do some reading while I'm doing that, but I am just going to read like a chapter of this and see whether I want to continue, because I'm not sure what L. Frank Baum's writing style is like, and if this is going to slow me down, if I'm not finding it compelling, or if I'm struggling with the writing style because it is classic, then I will move on to King of Sword and Sky. But for now, let's say I'm gonna go and make some food, sort out my spreadsheet. I will come back and give you an actual rating on A Light in the Dusk, and when I've done that, I will be making a start on this one.
I would love to be your stars, your moon, your sun. I would love to be that one. I'd love to be the one to make it.
The first 10 pages had me shook. Like, literally within 10 pages, I was like, I did 2 separate vlog updates.
Whoa. This is not a good angle. Right, there we go. I just wanted to do an update in the daylight. The sun's getting really strong again, but I'm never up at this time. It is 7:40 and the front of the house gets the sun in the morning. So yeah, I'm never up at this time to vlog, so I didn't really realise how bright it would be in here. But I have finished my second book for the Raedathon, which was in fact The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. Didn't tell you what it was about before, even though I'm sure a lot of you guys know. But this is a story that the movie The Wizard of Oz was based on, and it follows a girl called Dorothy who's from Kansas. A tornado sweeps through her farm and deposits her and her house in Munchkinland in the land of Oz on top of the Wicked Witch of the East. So the Wicked Witch of the East has ruby slippers, although in the book they are actually silver. Dorothy puts them on and goes on a journey to see the Wonderful Wizard of Oz so that he can grant her wish and send her back home to Kansas. Along the way she meets a bunch of companions, and it is just a whimsical, cute children's story. So it's 7:40 now, as I said. I started this at 3 AM. Jade has had 2 Instagram live shows in that time, so it's taken me 4 hours to read this, but in the Instagram lives the actual reading portion is only 25 minutes. Is that right? Half an hour? Half an hour per 1 hour live show, so 3 hours in total to read this. I have been taking a break at the beginning of every hour for 15 minutes, but this was incredibly fast-paced. The writing is very accessible. I looked at when this was published and it was in 1900, so I was surprised at how easily I got through this, how quickly I got through this, how simple the writing is. The writing is very direct, it's very to the point. It is not archaic in any way. I don't know if this has been altered in any way or whether this is like the original text. I think it's the original text, but yeah, this is as accessible as any book. It's just really, really easy to read, which definitely surprised me, especially as I've just read Peter Pan, and as I mentioned, the writing style in that was one of the things that I found the most difficult when they got to Neverland, and that was actually published 11 years after The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. So I gave this 4 stars. I did really enjoy it. I liked that this was similar to the movie. Like, the movie did keep a lot of the key points in here. If anything, they just kind of rearranged it a bit, but I think that the movie is a fairly good adaptation of this, and this was also different enough from the movie in several small ways to keep me compelled and keep me reading. The only real negative I have of this is that it is a little bit repetitive. Along the way, Dorothy meets her 3 companions, the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Cowardly Lion, and then as events were happening through the book, it was like every event had to happen 3 times. An example of this is when they meet the wizard, and the wizard will only see them 1 at a time, 1 per day. So Dorothy goes first, and then it goes through the other 3, and the wizard is pretty much just saying the same thing to all three of them, but it still goes through the same scene for each individual character. That is pretty much the only negative that I have. Otherwise, I really loved it. I would say that it is a story that would be better read to children as opposed to them reading it themselves. I don't think that they would have any problem actually reading it. I just think it is a story that comes alive in the telling. This one was not on my Bookopoly TBR, but this was the third book on my Believathon TBR to fulfill the prompt for 100 Acre Wood, I believe, which is to read a book with yellow on the cover. So, oh my god, can the sun just at least be consistent? No, it just really can't, can it? I look like a fucking potato right now. A tired potato, a mashed potato. So as you may be able to tell, I am getting a little bit sleepy. I had an iced coffee at 6 a.m. I don't want to drink too many of those though, even though it was delicious. I used my coffee machine and I got some Starbucks ground coffee. So I had a shot of Starbucks espresso in there and then the rest was milk. Don't want to drink too many because that's a hell of a lot of milk to drink. And I drink full fat milk because I don't drink that much of it to be a problem. But if I'm down in iced coffees all day, then that is not going to be very good for me. So my plan for now, Jade is starting another Instagram live at 9 a.m. Is that the next hour? No, 8 a.m. So I'm going to be watching that, and I'm finally going to be starting the book that I was supposed to be reading for this 24-hour readathon, King of Sword and Sky by C.L. Wilson. Also, people have asked me on Twitter, yes, these are bum cheeks. This is a Reese bookmark from Happy Hello Co. I told you what this was about earlier, so I'm not going to repeat myself, but my plan for the immediate future is to start this now because it's only 10 minutes before Jade's live, and then I think I'm going to get a shower. Depends how hungry I am when the live show finishes. I may have some food and then get a shower, or I will get a shower and have some food, but either way I'm going to be taking a short break very soon to do something about this, and then I will get back into reading. To be fair, I mean, I finished 2 books. That only adds up to 286 pages, I believe, but it is 2 books that I would not have read if not for this 24-hour readathon. Essentially, for the other 16 hours that we have left, my main goal is just to finish this, and if I finish this over the course of the readathon, then I will be happy. But that is all I have for now. I'm sure I'm going to check in with you guys sometime soon, hopefully looking a little better than I look right now. But I'm going to go and do some reading, and let's see if I can read one more book in this readathon. I mean, I have 16 hours, so one book should be doable, but this one is actually 460 pages, which will be the longest book I've read all month. So I literally only just left you like 2 seconds ago, but I keep forgetting to say that this book was sent to me by Grace Elizabeth for my birthday, so thank you so much for sending this my way. And this is also on my Bookopoly TBR. It is to fulfill the prompt to read a fantasy romance. So we are now on 4 p.m. The first 7.5 hours of this readathon, I read 2 books, which totaled 287 pages, I think. So now 8 hours-ish. 7-8 hours on from that. Is that right? 8.5 hours since I last checked in with you after I'd finished The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, and I am on page 94 of King of Sword and Sky. I am really struggling now, guys. I'm not even that tired. I've had 3 iced lattes. I think I had one before I checked in with you before, and I've had 2 since then. I'm not incredibly tired. Like, I'm tired and I don't particularly want to move, but I'm not feeling like I'm gonna fall asleep at any moment. I'm just really struggling to read. At this point, I'm averaging like 10 pages per hour. I don't really know what happened. I was actually trying to read as well up until around 2 p.m. and then I played an hour of Fortnite. I've just watched the Instagram live show that Jade did with G and read along with that, or with some of that. I was still playing Fortnite for the beginning of it. But yeah, I'm flagging. I'm flagging real bad. I think the best I can hope for in this now is halfway, but that is still like 200 pages from where I am now. The Wonderful Kelsey has actually just sent me an arc of the 3rd part of the Charlie Travesty serial, which is called A Memory in the Flame. So that will be another 100 pages. So I'm not sure what I'm going to try and split up my time a little bit now, because I am struggling to focus on reading for such long periods of time. So I'm going to read until 5 p.m. I'm going to play Fortnite until 6 p.m. and then I'm going to order food. While I'm waiting for my food to arrive, I'm going to do some more reading. Probably watch an episode of, I think we're up to Angel today with Curtis while I'm eating. And then after that, I may read A Whisper in the Flame just to break this up a little bit. I just want to get to page 120 in this now, and that will have me at 400 pages for the 24 hours. And then if I read A Memory in the Flame, that may give me a little bit more momentum again. And then I'll just read this until midnight and maybe squeeze in another hour of Fortnite somewhere. But yeah, we'll see how we go. I was doing so well today and now I'm not doing so well at all. So I'm gonna get on. I'm gonna try and focus and read for an hour and I'll let you know how everything goes. Hey, it's now 9 p.m. I got in bed, which was a huge mistake. And this is a very unflattering angle. Nothing I can really do about that right now. Well, I could sit up, but I'm not really prepared to do that right now. So I've got in bed. There's 3 hours left of the, I'll keep this light on because it's better than the yellow. So there's 3 hours of the Raedathon left. I made it to page 145-ish in King of Sword and Sky by C.L. Wilson. It's on my bedside table behind me. But for the moment, I'm going to be switching to the third part of the Charlie's Travesty serial, which I'm just trying to find on my phone, but I can't find my e-reader app. So this one is 86 pages. Wow, okay, I'm gonna do this. This is gonna happen. So my aim for the rest of the Raedathon is to read this for an hour and hopefully get to halfway, which will be 43 pages, which I think is definitely doable. At 10 p.m, I may go downstairs and play Fortnite, but the way I'm feeling right now, I don't think I can move ever again. So if I don't go down and read Fortnite, I will then switch to King of Sword and Sky for an hour again. Read as much of that as possible, which is probably only going to be like 30-40 pages, which will take me to almost 200, which isn't bad really, and then continue on and finish this in the last hour. I don't know if I'll be checking in with you at any point between now and the end of the Raedathon, but if I do have anything worthwhile to tell you guys, then I will be sure to do that. Look at these bags under my eyes. Holy fuck, Jade, I am coming for you. You have done this to me. Never again, guys. I'm too old for this shit. So yeah, I'm gonna go, where's the cover? I'll show you the cover because it's pretty. I'm gonna go and read A Memory in the Flame by Jessie Elliott and KJ Sutton, the third part of the vampire serial that I was reading earlier. I'll see you on the flip side, I guess. Yo. So it is 11:59 and I have just finished A Whisper in the Dark. I don't have a rating for this yet, it's just gone midnight. So the Raedathon is over! The Raedathon is over. I did it. I stayed up for 24 hours, guys. It was eventful. It was a challenge. There was a point, I think it was about 30 minutes ago, where I went downstairs to get a drink and I came back up, got in bed and went to go to sleep and forgot that I had 26 pages of this that I needed to finish before I went to sleep. I also fell asleep with my eyes open, or nearly did, and kind of jolted up when I noticed everything was blurry. And there was a whole point around 11 p.m. where I was just kind of staring into space and not even noticing. But I did it! I did the Raedathon. I stayed up for 24 hours. This is actually the first 24-hour Raedathon that I have ever done properly. I tend to sleep and then just prioritize reading throughout the day. I've never ever done a Raedathon like this. It was really fun. So thank you, Jade, for hosting. I hate you for it. I feel like I'm gonna die, but I had a great time. I've read quite a few things. The first thing that I read was A Whisper in the Dark by Jessie Elliott and KJ Sutton. And the last thing I read was A Memory in the Flame by Jessie Elliott and KJ Sutton. I don't have a rating for that yet because I just came in literally as it went midnight to tell you guys that I was done and it was time to be done, and I was done. But I do actually really need to message Kelsey before I go to bed about A Memory in the Flame, because seriously, it is like they wrote that installment for me. I can't really say anything about it, but I think at the beginning of the 24-hour readathon portion of this vlog, I said that there was one love interest that I liked more than the other one, and this installment featured that character a whole lot more than he has been in any of the previous installments, and I really loved it. I don't want to spoil anything for you guys, but when I finished the second part, technically this morning at like, what, 3 a.m. or something, I messaged Kelsey and was like, please tell me that this thing happens, and she sent me A Memory in the Flame and was like, your wish is my command. I didn't realize that my wish was literally her command, because goddamn did they deliver what I wanted. They delivered exactly the thing that I said to Kelsey that I wanted from this installment. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I do anticipate that it's probably going to come out at 4 stars. I'm not like super madly in love with it like I was with Fortuna Swan. It's a really enjoyable paranormal romance urban fantasy story. I do like the characters. The plot is is not super my favorite. At the moment, it doesn't seem incredibly well developed. Like, it does work as a plot, but it lacks a little bit of the complexity that I normally like in like a favorite book. But I am enjoying the characters. I'm interested to see where this is going, because so far every installment has kind of added a new element to the story. Because I'm reading them in the installments as well, my reading of the entire story has been a little bit disjointed because it's been a while since I read the first one, like a couple of weeks. So I think if I read them all together, then I would have like a better idea of the story as a whole. But I think that's going to come out at 4 stars, and I will let you guys know when I put it in my spreadsheet, which is probably going to be tomorrow now, because as soon as I'm done with this update and I've updated my spreadsheet, I'm going to piece the fuck out and get some sleep, because I just need to sleep. I also read A Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Really liked that. That was my 3rd book for Believathon, probably my last book for Believathon, but it is a book that I did not anticipate reading. I thought Peter Pan was going to be my last book for Believathon. And then the final book I've been reading, I am going to tell you about tomorrow as well, because I don't anticipate having much content for the last day of this vlog, aside from telling you my thoughts on this book, because I'm probably not going to finish it tomorrow. But I did get up to page 146 of this. I have not read any more since I last checked in with you. It took me 3 hours to read 86 pages. Like, my focus was just really not there in those last 2 hours. So overall, my page count for Raedathon, I'm going to do this mentally. Are you ready, guys? Actually, why the fuck am I going to work it out mentally when I've got a calculator on my phone? So The Wonderful Wizard of Oz and A Light in the Dusk came to 287 pages. I'm on page 146 of this, so I've read 145 pages. And then A Memory in the Flame was, how many pages was that? 84? So my total for the day is 516 pages. I can confidently say that I have never read that much in a day before, so I'm very pleased with my progress. My only issue is that the main book that I wanted to read in the 24-hour period was King of Sword and Sky, and I didn't even bloody finish it. I finished 3 books. I've read like a third of this, but the one book that I needed to read, the one book that's on my Bookopoly TBR that I wanted done by the end of this week, was King of Sword and Sky, and I only read 150 pages. I think I'm going to conclude this Raedathon update here. I had a blast. The start was way better than the finish. I can't believe how much I've been slumping since like 8 AM. I did have a really great time staying up all night reading. It was really good to be able to focus on reading. I've been mentioning to you guys a couple of times that my focus is just really not there at the moment when I'm reading. And I think part of the issue is that my brain is constantly ticking over all the other things that I have to do. So knowing that I had this day clear, knowing that I'd got everything done that I really had to do prior to starting this readathon, I think really helped me to concentrate on reading more, which is why I actually managed to get those first 2 books done in the first 7 hours. I have to admit, I've had a little bit of a wobble today mentally, probably because I'm tired. I also didn't eat for 8 hours. We ordered takeout at 6. It only arrived at like 8:30 because Saturday night everywhere's really busy, and also everywhere's on reduced staff. So I had a little bit of a wobble. I had an existential crisis. I had a quarter life crisis. I sulked about it for a bit. I had a big rant at Curtis about everything that was bothering me. So the things that I have to do and the things that have been bothering me just generally overall, it's just stress. It's just overwork. I need to figure out something to do about the fact that I cannot maintain 3 things, but at the same time I do kind of need to maintain 3 things. So yeah, I had a little bit of a rant, and the thoughts about that was pulling me away from reading a little bit. But overall, I've had a really good time. I joined all of the Instagram live shows that Jade did. Really loved those. I seem to be able to read really well when I'm watching a reading, which I never thought I would be able to. I've also played some Fortnite today as well. So I had a really chill day. I've had a day off. I'm like really tired. I'm struggling with focus. Probably gonna hate myself when I'm editing this. Technically tomorrow now because it is Sunday. I need to go to my dad's tomorrow. I don't know if I mentioned it in this vlog, but he has 2 parcels that have been delivered to him from my Amazon wishlist, which literally makes no sense. But the lockdown restrictions in the UK have been lifted slightly, where you can go and see one other person or something. But my dad's always in the garden anyway, so I'm probably gonna do what I did last time and just sit in my car while he works in the garden and have a little bit of a chat with him. Maybe maybe go and walk Grace if the weather's nice, which it hasn't been the last couple of days, and also collect those 2 parcels. So tomorrow when I come back to check in with you, I will give you my final rating on a Whisper in the Flame. That's not what it's called. It's called a Memory in the Flame, isn't it? Yeah. I'll give you my final rating on a Memory in the Flame. I'll tell you my thoughts on this, and I don't think I have anything else to tell you. I don't really need to tell you my thoughts and feelings on a Memory in the Flame because it's kind of the same as what I've said about the first 2 installments in this series, aside from me loving one of the central characters of the 3rd installment. So I'm gonna shut the fuck up because I'm gonna hate myself when I'm editing this, and I'm gonna go and get some sleep, and I'm honestly so happy that I can say that. Okay, so I'm here to wrap up this vlog. I don't have anything at all enlightening to tell you. It's 3 AM on Sunday night, Monday morning. I've just spent 8 hours playing Fortnite. I really need to stop doing this. I didn't go to my dad's today because I had quite a lot I wanted to get done, and I said I'd go see him tomorrow because I woke up quite late and I had a video that I had to go up for 6, and then I was going to pack candle orders. Now I realise it's a bank holiday, so it doesn't really matter if I do them today or tomorrow because they can only go on Tuesday anyway. So I went on Fortnite at 7. I went to get KFC. Curtis told me that KFC was open, so in the middle of the day we just went and got KFC, and then I came home. I played Fortnite, I took a break to have a sandwich, I played some more Fortnite, and now it's 3 AM. I haven't read a single page today, so I'm actually not going to tell you much about King of Sword and Sky. Is that what I was reading? I told you what it was about, or what the series was about. From what I remember, because most of the things I read yesterday, I do remember what they were about, but I don't remember like super intense details because I was delirious for half of yesterday. Honestly, not looking forward to editing this vlog, but I am enjoying it. Nothing mind-blowing. It really falls into the stereotypes, or the old fantasy stereotypes of like men are warriors, women are healers, and women need to be protected, and men are big and strong and protect their women kind of thing, which I mean it's okay to read, but it's not my favorite dynamic. I like the fantasy romances where the women are not necessarily fighters, but they are extremely powerful in their own right, which the main female character in the Tyrant Soul series is. But I don't really think that I like Rain very much, who is the love interest. His physical description doesn't really do it for me. They're like, the Fae are pale and they glow, and he has like long black hair, so I'm imagining like Skrillex to be fair. So he's not my favorite. The way that he talks as well is very old-fashioned, I want to say. I don't know. It's really hard to describe. He seems like quite an old-fashioned love interest, whereas the rest of the Fae warriors who make up Elisetta's quintet have a lot of banter, and I'm more into them than I am into the main love interest. But I do like the fantasy aspects in there. They're not especially well done, like they're not like on-point fantasy, but it is a good series if you like romance and fantasy. It has a good balance of both. Both are good, but neither are mind-blowing. So I haven't read a single page today. I'm gonna go to sleep, so I'm not going to read a single page today. I'm starting a buddy read with Jade tomorrow, so that will be the last book on my Bookopoly TBR. I'll tell you about it next week. And I need to finish the 300 pages of King of Sword and Sky, and the live show for Eldling Long for Royal Assassin will be in 2 weeks, so I need to read that 650 page book as well. So essentially I need to get my arse into gear. That is about it for this week's vlog. I hope you enjoyed it. Can't remember half of the footage I filmed for it, but I do hope you've enjoyed it if you've made it this far. If you have, then please don't forget to like if you liked it and subscribe if you wanna, and I will see you guys next week. Bye. I can't wave. Bye.
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you'll go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.